What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video. And last night we got another full round of gameplay from Steel City Interactive for Undisputed. Sunny Edwards versus Hopi Price. Let me just start off by saying, before we get into the breakdown, this may be some of the better gameplay that we have seen from Steel City Interactive. This gameplay compared to that Ben Froch gameplay that we saw a couple of weeks ago is night and day. Honestly, I'm generally really impressed. And as always, guys, I just have to say this, and it shocks me that I have to say this, but remember, it's in alpha, it's pre-early access. Things will be improved and updated as that happens with every single game in the world. This is not the final product. I don't know why. I don't know what it is with this one game that people think that this is the final product and things can't be improved. They absolutely can. And as always with this gameplay, I really enjoy getting into the nitty and gritty and breaking it down for you guys, and you seem to quite enjoy that. So let's get into this breakdown. So right off the rip, at the start of the round, we have got a nice camera angle, seeing the full body of both fighters. We can see the sponsors on the ring, Cleo Ray's Empire Pro Tape, rival round the corner, round the edge of the ring. We see a nice blurred background in the crowd, which I like. We see a kind of an atmosphere around the ring, from cameramen to cornermen to, I assume, ringside officials, judges, etc., things like that. As well as we see a cameraman in that back corner, which I don't actually think we've seen anything like this before. We also see that this is the third round in a 12-round fight. Hopi Price is actually much lower on stamina. Sunny Edwards pretty much has full maxed out stamina, whereas Hopi Price actually has lost like an eighth of his stamina already. So clearly, those first two rounds were very different styles. Hopi Price was obviously far more aggressive, but not able to do too much, as Sunny Edwards is in perfect health, perfect stamina, no real issues there for him. We see both fighters meet in the middle and then rotate around the centre. Instead of just engaging off the rip, they're not just going and brawling with one another. They've gone into the centre and then they start to rotate around, take their time, which I like. I like to see, we spoke about more slow-paced gameplay. We kind of said we were sick of just seeing swanging and banging all the time. We wanted to see like the more slower paced boxing, and we definitely see that off rip. They enter that center and then they kind of rotate, trying to almost like get their spacing from one another, find their range again. I like it. Now here, Sunny lands a lovely backhand hook. Now in terms of animations we've seen for loading up, this is actually a really nice one, as well as the reaction to being punched. Hopi Price's head reacts appropriately, and I keep seeing people saying they shouldn't snap back at every single shot. If we see here, we can see that that is not what happens at all. Hopi Price eats it to the chin, and he's able to keep his head almost on that center line. His head isn't completely snapped back like he's been punched by Jason Voorhees. He's been hit by Sunny Edwards. His head doesn't completely snap. He eats the shot. It's a nice shot. He eats it, takes it well, and he's back to that full guard within the second and tries to throw off a shot, but then unfortunately misses right away. But that is a prime example right away here where Hopi Price, misses that jab after getting caught. This is a example of there being no punch tracking, encouraging us to be accurate, clever, creating angles to either land or avoid shot. It's not always offensive or defensive. It's a nice mix of both. And I see people saying about shots missing. You have to remember, guys, there is very little tracking in this game. I know you guys have played UFC, and I know you've been sick of when you think you're out of range and somehow that straight shot from Conor McGregor still bings you on the chin at full power. That's not what I want personally for me. I don't want that track, and someone that boxes in real life, I am so inaccurate in real life. I am shocking with my accuracy, but that's just the way it be. That's how boxing is. Most boxers land below 40% of punches per fight. Now here, Hopi Price lands a nice jab. Now this is an issue I have with this. This is the only time I've seen this problem in this gameplay. He hits him with a nice jab. That's going to land anyways. He's at a good range for it, but doesn't actually seem to hit Sunny in the head. It seems to hit like almost like a mid-edit study here. Turns out I was wrong. No shame in admitting it. The punch, the jab, clearly lands, bings Sunny right on the forehead. I just couldn't see it until I saw it down frame by frame, which is kind of what you want, to be honest. You don't want to, every punch doesn't need to be glued to the face. So I was wrong, but I'm happy that I was proven wrong there. Yeah, I'll take this L, guys. Past study is a dumbass. just something I want to point out. But then what I like is he lands the jab and then just uses the footwork. Even though he's squared on here, he uses the footwork to get out of the way of that body hook. So he's landed his shot, nice counter jab, out of the way, hasn't had to use a big back step to exhaust stamina, he hasn't had to cover up and take a shot on the arms, just moving out the way has avoided that shot, because Sunny's just thrown that shot on instinct after getting hit with a sharp jab. Now here we see Sunny rolls under a hook and rips a lovely, perfect body shot, and then goes straight back to the defensive and avoids another return shot from Hopi Price. A really nice sequence and a great example of defense to offense to defense again. These aren't jolting features here. We are seeing defense to defense fluidly. Now, I know people keep talking about the punches, and to be honest, if you actually watch it, you can see, I keep seeing people saying that it needs to go back to a starting point every time. That's not fucking, boxing is messy, man. Not every fighter goes back to an immediate starting point every time they throw a shot. It's not jab, reset, straight, reset, lead hook, you know what I mean? So here we see that fluidity of defensive rolling under the shot, offensive landing the shot, defensive pulling out the way of a return shot. I really like it. And this sequence is quite a busy one. We see a kind of a shovel uppercut to the solar plex / kind of center of the belly, and we see Hopi actually respond in his facial emotions. We can see he kind of, I don't know, it reacts to it appropriately, and then he hits Sunny with a return hook, and then actually Sunny kind of is tilted away after being hit with the shot, and he throws a hook to the body back of his own, and Sunny's elbow actually just blocks it. He doesn't block, his elbow blocks it, which is what we wanted, which is something they mentioned before, that you can block shots from a basic stance because your arm is there. Maybe some people's stance is their arm is already there defending that body. So we see a nice sequence here. We see a lovely shovel uppercut to the solar plex. We see Hopi Price return with the hook to the head, and then we see Sunny try to return with his own hook, and Hopi's elbow just blocks it. It's not actual blocking, this is just base stance blocking, which I really like. Because personally, I'm sick of games where you see a shot go to the arm and then you see your body health flash, and like, come on, I didn't get hit with that. Now here we see Hopi Price kind of bull rush in, coming in a bit too fast, and gets caught with a big shot to the body that actually straightens him up. If you watch it, it actually kind of straightens up his body. Like, he kind of is there from a range, and he tries to bull rush in on a counter-aware Sunny Edwards, and as he comes in, he just gets cracked with that big shot, and then the hook comes over, but unfortunately does kind of glide over the top of his head. But that thing is just kind of, that seems to be more of a glitch issue, where it's just they need to just tweak to make sure those shots do land more appropriately, but that could have been because of collision, we don't know. And then we see here Sunny moving flashy, but he's not got the loose movement on. We see this a few times throughout the fight, which shows that people with their naturally flashy movements will just move that way in general without having to put a modifier on, which is great. So for fighters like Sunny Edwards, this works well, as you see. But then you've got maybe fighters like Emmanuel Augustus, the Drunken Master. Mate, you won't need to go into this loose movement for his natural, flashy, awkward movement. You will get that movement naturally, which is great to see. We don't always have to have a modifier on. Your modifiers are going to be for the people like, for example, Caleb Plant, who can be flashy, but can also be defensively sound, guard up, ready to counter, or they can be a bit more slick, which kind of is the best of both worlds, really. So here we see both men actually landing a left hook. Sunny's to the body, Hopi's to the head, but just it shows a messy exchange, how not everything is picture perfect. And that's one thing that I've always gone for with this game, is it's not always about being picture perfect, you know what I mean? It's about, boxing can be messy. We see Sunny almost hits him here with the palm of the boxing glove, and Hopi Price has got his kind of close in hook, elbow down, because he can't fully extend this hook, or he's not going to be able to prop that elbow up, because he's not going to get that quick leverage. That's what I'm seeing here. They come in and they both want to launch a shot off quick, and sometimes you don't always have that time to get that elbow up and always rotate that entire body. They just catch each other with a nice left hook on the inside, one to the body, one to the head. I like it. And then again, we see Sunny here back to his natural flashy movement, which is still very impressive that that's just his natural movement. Speaking of natural movement, we see Sunny stepping back and shuffling and actually missing a straight shot on the inside. This is obviously a jab. Hopey Price steps in and lands a jab. Sorry, guys. Hopey Price steps in and lands the jab shortly after the shuffle. Now, I've seen a few people saying that shouldn't miss, or that should land for sure because he's that close. But let's be honest, guys. If you land a shot like that, that to me is just ugly as fuck. You should not be able to land a jab from a biceps width apart. That is not a jab. Just try and measure a bicep and try and throw a jab in that distance. You literally look like those little alien things from Men in Black. It's not going to work. Whoever threw this shot is an idiot and should know to throw a hook from that close in, or an uppercut, or a body shot. But you're not going to land a jab from that close range. If you are, it's going to be the little fartiest thing ever. And as it seems to be, he was stepping in. Sonny's also getting on the inside to make that jab just glide past. To be honest, that's more of an issue with the player than it is with the fighter himself. Now we see here Hopey throwing a few shots. Sonny is on the inside avoiding those shots and lands kind of a punch to the thigh and then follows up with a nice extended body hook. Instead of it being a tight body hook, it's a nice extended body hook because obviously Sonny does have smaller arms. It's a nice fully extended body hook which kind of seems to throw Hopey off his flow in a way and slow down the next incoming punch, which is kind of interesting. And then here we see Sonny using just sideways simple movement to avoid two shots. Now I really like this sequence. Sonny's backed up in the corner, he's using his head movement to avoid shots, but then he gets caught with a pretty lazy straight, and then as he drops down low he gets caught with a big uppercut that actually snaps his head up. So it is almost showing that if you're going to throw your head down like that and you get caught with an uppercut, maybe later in the fight, that is going to hurt because that fully snaps his head up. As he's down, Hopey launches a massive lead uppercut and that snaps Sonny back up to that straight position. You can see the visible pain on his face. And again, I really like that one. I thought when I noticed that that uppercut snapped Sonny's head and his body upright, I generally like that. Now here we see that Sonny avoids a hook and then lands a straight counter. And the reason you might be thinking, well, that's just a simple counter straight. But what I like about this is this seems to completely throw off Hopey's momentum. Completely throw it off. Like he's almost just like in his tracks just for a second, for a split second, he just seems stuck in his tracks. Like he's there, he's moving. Throws the hook, misses. Sonny comes up with the straight, and he's just like, fuck. He's kind of, his head goes back a little bit, his body kind of, whoa, and then he's back ready to go. But again, people saying every shot is causing a head to snap here and there and everywhere. We see it doesn't. The shot was just enough to stop him in that momentum, which is what I was talking about the other day, where people were slagging me off something major in the Discord saying about what does he mean by stopping power. This is what I meant. A shot as someone is there shouldn't just cause them to be able to walk through it or cause them to go flying. Sometimes it just stops them in their tracks and stops that momentum, hence the stopping power. So you guys that were slagging me off can go fuck yourselves, because now I have a prime example of what I meant by stopping power. Now this I found really interesting here. Sonny lands a pretty big hook to the head, but while there's obviously that counter flash, but there's no visible stun animation here. But to me, I don't know about you guys, it kind of seems like Hopey kind of looks shaken up for a second. You know, because he stepped in with a shot, he's left himself exposed, been caught with a big hook from Sonny Edwards, and then he kind of, I don't want to say wobbles, but it just looks like his legs just aren't all there just for that little second, which kind of makes me think, like, are there shots that are going to be able to push people back or just send people that little sideways wobble if they get caught with a big shot? I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing something, but to me, that was the one hook where I was like, Hopey reacts differently than any other hook there. And again, you can see just a little bit of head movement from Hopey there. When he gets hit, just that head moves slightly. No massive snap. I don't know what people were seeing, to be honest, but, you know, the reason I say this is because I just saw a few comments of people saying the head snaps around way too much, and you can see from these heavier shots, that's not the case at all. And then here I found this funny. Sonny kind of tries to cock punch him, but kind of hits him in the waistband. I assume that's just because of the difference in height, and will be ironed out soon. Or maybe it was actual purpose. Maybe it was on purpose. He actually wanted to punch him in the dick, but who knows? But I just want to point out because I found it funny. Now, both men throw a big right hook here, and Sunny's height did him no favours. Hopi's kind of hits him in the forehead, but then goes over the head, so it kind of cracks him in the forehead, and the punch kind of goes over, which, again, we do see in real life. Sometimes when the shots land on the top of that forehead, naturally the fist will hit the forehead and glide over the head for the rest of it, and Sunny kind of punches in the chest. Like I said, his height done him no favours there. Now we're going to skip ahead because I don't feel the need to show you guys like every exchange. And we see Sunny using some lovely movement and sideways movement here. Just in general, just his movement is really nice, really natural. Just works well. It seems to work well with his character model. Really nice sideways movement. Impressive stuff. And also he uses it well with the shots he's landing. So I'm generally impressed there. His movement is very fluid. And the shots work with the movement that he's using. So here they're on the I'm sorry, I'm laughing already. They're on the inside here. Hopi throws a straight shot on the inside. Whoever used Hopi, I am disappointed in you, bro. You're better than that. Come on. It wasn't like it was a surprise on the inside. You knew you were in there. Please throw a different shot next time. But then we see Sunny pushes him away. But one thing I noticed about this push is Hopi seems to do a backstep as well. Maybe that's just me that sees that. But it seems to be that the push only does so much. It seems to be almost like a push that can initiate offense. So you're pushing to then crack. So it's push and then crack. Whereas here it seems like whoever's using Hopi knows that that's what Sunny wants to do. So he pushes him, and as he's pushed, he obviously then backsteps to maybe avoid an upcoming shot. That's just a thought, but let me know what you guys think. And here we see Sunny go for like a body uppercut, and Hopi is just in another country, man. He didn't need to use no advanced movement. He was already out the way by the time Sunny had finished that shot. He was long gone, like long gone. And then we see here for about, I think it's about 20 seconds, I want to say, we see Sunny Edwards enter the loose movement state and move around. He blocks well during it as well. It's not an overuse of the loose movement. Lands some nice shots in there. Not always like crazy free flow, and sometimes he's able to kind of plant his feet a little bit better with some of these shots. Enter the pocket to throw a nice body hook. Good use of the loose movement for Sunny Edwards, whoever was playing as him. Very, very impressive. Much more impressive use of it than when we saw Nigel Benn use it. Much more impressive. Makes more sense. Well done. A nice, one of my favourite simple combos, which is body hook, head hook. I just love it when you mix up those hands, when you go for that left body hook and that right head hook. I just love it. Again, we hope Price's head obviously snaps ever so slightly, but not as much as people were crying about in the comments. We see kind of that sideways snap to kind of go to the shoulder, and then his head is back to normal, because that is a wide open exposed shot, which is just great. And then we see here when these boys are actually out of range of one another, like these guys are not going to be able to engage at all from this angle, from this distance, sorry. We see that the camera pans out. I like it. It's a nice view. We get to see the crowd a bit more, but I like that it does that. This is one of my favorite cameras, the dynamic that goes in when you're on the inside and follows both fighters. Doesn't just follow you, it follows the movement and the range of both fighters. I like it a lot. Hopefully it will be usable in online and won't become an issue, but I like it. Now we see here, Hopi starts to unload, but one thing I want to point out more importantly here is we see him step in and miss a shot, and what he actually does is he actually lands a shot, and then as he goes to throw another kind of a sharp pointer jab, he actually goes around Sunny's lead foot to become more square on with him, to land and become more successful when unloading these shots. So we see him unload a good amount. Sunny eventually is able to rotate back to being face on with him. Hopi Pro starts to drain his stamina and gets caught with a couple of big shots to the body, causing pain, emotion in Hopi's face, as well as causing the center of his stomach to become yellow in the heads-up display, or down the bottom right. So his stamina is completely out, and then he tries to return with a little farty uppercut, as well as a little farty hook, followed by a little farty uppercut, which is slow and almost pathetic. So you can see he's just, yeah, he's exhausted, very slow shot. But Sunny moves out of the way. Sunny's not exactly a finisher, let's be honest. So good use of it for Sunny to get out of the way there. But what I liked is Hopi Price ate a lot of body shots throughout this fight. Throughout this round, sorry, and we've not seen incredible damage. Back when I played in March, if you land this level of body shots, you were finishing the fight. Like, that's how OP the body shot were. body shot was, sorry. So we've definitely seen a lot of balance in here. For someone that's played it, it's great to be able to give you guys that information. Definitely seems that they've balanced out the head to body damage, appropriate to a boxing 3-minute round over 12 rounds. I like that they've balanced out a lot. This is kind of interesting. Sonny rolls out of the way, but he's not in range of a shot. He just rolls and then somewhat avoids Hopi's jab, kind of gets caught with the forearm. Again, the height difference is a little bit of an issue. Then returning with a nice backhand hook that definitely causes some visible head snapping back, which is not surprising because it's a big shot, but again, not as much as people are seeing it. If you notice, the head only really snaps back badly when it is a heavier shot of the sort. Now, one of everybody's favourite things from this round is the pivoting. We can see here Sonny Edwards pivots, moves, whatever you want to call it, completely out of range. He's almost behind Hope. He's already almost ready to slap his ass. Bit like how Lomachenko actually fights in real life when he does that, when he uses his hands and his footwork to get behind his opponent, and then as they're turning, just unload. And that was one thing I was worried about, guys. I was thinking Loma's not going to be good because they're not going to be able to get this type of pivoting. But they are. We're seeing this one movement and this pivot. This shows how useful someone like Lomachenko is going to be in the game. He really will be. And I'm shocked to say it. Of course, he does punch him in the spine. But that's all down to the player. That's not to the game. The game gives you these tools. You have to create something out of the tools it gives you. I'm convinced that some people want the game to spoon feed you everything. The game gives you the tools, guys. You need to create it. Just because the game doesn't have a tracking on or doesn't have automatic face-to-face for boxers doesn't make it any better or worse. The game is giving you the tools. You guys have to create these advantages with them. And then we see here, if we get to the end of the round, we see here the round ends and they carry on exchanging after the bell. Now, they mentioned that would be possible point deductions, like that's something would happen. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it. I just thought that's not going to happen. But we see the bell go off. They stand there. They've got to be trusted to not carry on exchanging, and they do, which I like because that means you've got to learn to control yourself. The end of the round can't just be, fucking spamming buttons. You have to learn to control yourself in that ring. So when you hear that bell go, keep your guard up at all times, and then you're not going to get point deduction. You're not going to get fucked by the judges. And yeah, a good way to end it. A good little kind of, here you go, guys. Here's a new feature, but we're not going to make it obvious. We're just going to show you it. And that's it, guys. That is it for the breakdown. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too long, but this was a really, really interesting one. Really solid gameplay. Played well. But like I said, guys, you can't blame everything on the game. I see that as a common thing, is blaming everything on the game. But if I use Conor McGregor in UFC 4 and you use Khabib and I choke you out with the guillotine, does that make the game bad, or does that just make me not playing realistic? You would say, I'm not playing you're not playing realistic study because Conor McGregor's never going to tap out Khabib. It doesn't matter. The game gives you the tools. You create what you want with them. That's why you're going to get people online that are going to use Nigel Benn as a counterpuncher. People are going to use Sonny Edwards as a brawler. If people pay for the game, that's their right and their prerogative to use the game that way. If you want to play realistic, you find people that want to play realistic as well, and you guys replicate the fighter styles to how they are in real life. And also, that's what I've been mentioning before, guys, about traits. We need to make sure that fighters have negative traits. For example, Sonny Edwards, I don't know, if it's like, maybe he becomes more vulnerable when trying to throw combinations on the inside because he's not really going to do that. Or maybe someone like Nigel Benn becomes, or loses power or accuracy while fighting on the back foot because he wasn't really known for that. We need to make sure we have negative traits like that. But anyways, I digress. Thanks as always for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Again, thank you for the support on the channel. We have hit 13,000 subscribers. I did do a thank you video, but we're almost at 13,100 in real life. 13,100 on YouTube, which is absolutely insane. Really, really awesome stuff. So thank you all for the support. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.